So don't.
We're having the extra shillings and we don't realize. So how do I know that I have that extra shilling?
Wow. How do you realize you have extra shillings? Wow. Upon, amen. Yes. Hey. And Kitoni, your brother is gone.
Jim Nambaru. So if you're doing it in large scale and you want to do stocks, I feel you can make money. But for us, is there an opportunity for the guy who's just starting out? Is there real money? Or should we concentrate more on active investments such as, shy away from such, because the perception is the return is a bit minimal. So if you could shed some more light on that, that would be great. Thanks.
Wow, thank you so much. And now I'll just pray for us as we start out this session. Yes, and I think you can just mention your money matters, Reverend, yeah? Do we say?
Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you and we worship you because of who you are to us. Thank you, Lord, for this show. Thank you, Father, even for our guests who have come to inspire us. And Father, we pray that, Lord, you may inspire them as they also inspire us, O God. We thank you for each one of us that, Lord Almighty, it will be a time to be inspired in this year that you have given to us. May your blessings be upon us, O God. You are the source of wisdom. And so we seek that knowledge from you. Bless us together in Jesus' name.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the first edition of the Heart Out Show Season 2. If you've been here before, you have noticed the change of venue, and that is the reason why we're starting a little bit late, because of the technical issues that go along with that. But thank you for coming and for making it in good time. I will introduce my panel, but right before that, I will give you just a brief of what the show is going to look like. We're going to have two parts. The first part will take just about an hour, and the questions will come from the moderator to the panelists in no particular order. And then we'll have a short break where we'll also have an opportunity to network with one another as we share in the snacks. And then we'll come back for the last bit of the show, where now you get the microphones and ask the questions to the panelists that you want to answer your question. Sure, Millicent mentioned something about it, but just to bring a new perspective, we're looking at it in two ways. Number one, we want to explore the existing opportunities of making the extra coin. I am one of the people who has never understood whether there's anybody who can ever have enough money. These ladies and gentlemen will tell us, can somebody ever have enough money? So that's why we keep looking for the extra coin. And point number two is, you have the extra coin probably from your salary or wherever. Where do you put it? Where do you invest it? What small enterprise can you start? And that's why Frida is here to tell you, if you're starting an enterprise, these are the ABCs, these are the do's and the don'ts. And now I get to my panel to introduce them one after the other. And I will start from the far end and what you do.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marvin Otieno. I'm a freelance web designer and a graphic designer. Thanks.
Appreciate Marvin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frida Owinga. I run a company called Passion Profit. We are a business development support service organization.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Tutuek. I am a macroeconomic and agri-sector analyst at Genghis Capital. Check.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, we need some energy up in here. My name is Alvin Mwangura. I run a company called Ari Capital. We are financial consultants. I'm the one selling the books. You can grab our copies for 1,000 bob outside there if you intend to start a business. It's a great resource for you to be able to begin to put financial systems and make sure that the financial systems are able to work for you and get that extra coin. So that's basically what we do.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stanley Ngugi. I'm the head of training programs at Centonomy. And Centonomy is a company that teaches people how to create wealth. And we do this by teaching you how to manage your money, how to build that business that you've always wanted to, and also how to become the type of person who gets that job, that promotion, how do you get paid more at work. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Beverly Mbeke. I handle operations and marketing at kuhustle.com. And what we do at Kuhustle is we connect people like Marvin who have skills either in web design, web development, marketing, and any job that you can do virtually. We connect you to clients who come to our platform, post jobs, you place a bid, you're selected for the job, you deliver, you get paid. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yes, many of you know me. I'm from this church. For those who don't know me, I'm Karumba Kinywa. I run a company called Pine Hill Consulting. This is an investment management consultancy firm. What we do is we work with organizations and individuals to help them achieve their goals. For example, you'd have, I say that and people still find it difficult to understand. So let me give an illustration. You have a large circle, your investment club, and you need to come up with objectives. You need support to achieve your investment objectives. So we'll come in and work with you so that you attain your investment goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you. Please, we were expecting Dr. Bitangen demo, but he was coming from Mombasa, so he wasn't sure what time he'll be here. That was dependent on what time his flight is. So ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. Now you know whom we have and what they do. That forms a very nice basis for you to start drafting your question so that when that time comes, you know whom to ask what and what answers to expect. Now, I want to start by asking a random question. In my opening remarks, I mentioned it, and that is why we're here, basically. And as we do this, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you can keep tweeting and keep your Facebooks active. The hashtag is the extra coin. Can somebody ever have enough money? Any of you can go anytime you're ready with the answer. Can you ever have enough money?
I think so. I think so. Although they say we've never met somebody outside the bank with a huge load of cash asking to be helped to put it inside. It's about setting out your objectives and reaching them. We've seen people who, like recently, Zuckerberg, many of who founded Facebook, decided that he'll give away most of it. So I think you must have your objectives. You must work to achieve them, and then, really, how much is enough? We've seen people who have worked very hard the whole of their lives, founded large businesses, and giving it all away. To me, even when you don't have enough, the moment you start to maybe share with those who are less privileged than you, you're reaching a place where you're taking command of your ownership. But also we've seen people on the other extreme who never have enough. One famous Kenyan at his 80th birthday was launching a very tall skyscraper near DOD. And you're wondering, why are they pushing themselves? And unfortunately, when people make so much money, they have an excuse that they do it for fun. But all of us can see it, they still want more. Yeah, so it's a trick question, I have to agree. But we have to set what's your goal. Once you've achieved your objectives and you can live without working, I think we're just about to get there.
Okay, anybody else wants to come in on the same? Sure.
Here's the way we kind of look at it at Centonomy. As he said, it's a very tricky question. It's a very loaded question. Is it enough? And for us, we look at money as a tool for the life that you desire. And the reason that someone is still doing it at 80 is because we still desire things and we still want things. So money in itself, we don't collect money for the sake of having it in your account. There are certain experiences that you want to have in your life. Maybe you want to pay school fees for your children. Maybe you want to travel the world. Those are the things that you will always want. Even if for example, if I was saving to travel to France, and one day when I'm 40, I travel to France, next I will see Australia. And that's what keeps us going in terms of enough money. It's always linked to what are those goals or those dreams or those experiences that you want in your life. In the end, on your deathbed, you don't ask to see your bank account. You ask to you reflect on the experiences and the impact that you've had in your life. So can money be enough? I don't think so. It's always about, have you had a full life? And I want to die with 0 shillings in my account. All the millions that will have accumulated should be in my children's account by then.
All right, Alvin. And Alvin, as you answer that one, I need you to start answering the second question as well. I know you deal a lot with corporate finance and accounting, but I want you to break it down to personal finance first of all. We'll get to the corporate. As you answer the first question, you will get into the second one. What are the common money mistakes that we make as individuals in your experience?
All right. I think just to answer the first question, is it possible to have extra money? How I'd like to look at it is we really are not pursuing money if you think about it as human beings. The greatest motivation for a human being to exist is actually self-preservation, if you think about it. All of us are trying to protect ourselves from something. And there's this great guy of a management scholar, Maslow. He categorized our basic needs. He said, if you sort out water, it will never be a problem. Then once you've sorted out water, you go to food. Once you've sorted out food, it's not really a problem. Then you go to housing. Now, if you look at money, money gives us the ability to acquire those things. Money in itself has no value. Whatever is valuable is the thing that you're pursuing. So if, for example, we live in a desert where there is no water, even if someone gives you 1 million shillings, 1 million shillings has no value. Whatever is valuable at that point is your ability to get water and quench your thirst. And therefore, having money as a goal, as something that you want extra, I think that's the beginning of the mistake that people make. Now answering the second question. The mistake we make is putting such high value in money and preserving money. So you always want more and more and more and more and more of that money. But what is it that you're solving? What is the objective of that money? A country like Zimbabwe, for example, their money has less value, isn't it? You can actually go and buy bread in a wheelbarrow, full of money, isn't it? And therefore, the first mistake we do is put a lot of value in money. The second thing we do is have no priorities, have no goals. That's the second thing that we do in terms of personal finance. We don't have a compelling vision to live. Some of us wake up in the morning like it's a mistake. You know, we just wake up and let's see how the day goes. There is nothing that is compelling us. There is no gift that you are pursuing. There's no talent that you are nurturing. There is no problem in society that you are solving. That's the second mistake. And if you do get in a scenario where you actually do have a proper vision, you actually do have a proper goal, and you're actually able to attract some capital to finance your vision, then the third mistake is basically lack of skills in managing that money.
Okay, Alvin, I'll answer that question now on the flip side of the corporate. But I want to go to Marvin and start with a simple one. Do you have an 8 to 5 job?
But I have a 24-hour round job because I'm not employed. So my main job is to find that job all day. I hope I've answered.
And as we get to introduce now the bit of what opportunities exist for the extra coin. For instance, for you, you say you don't have an 8 to 5 job. Now I do have an 8 to 5 job, for instance. but I want the extra coin. Do you know of opportunities, things that I can tap into and use the extra time? And then we will come to Frida and Beverly for that, for the same.
Well, there are a lot of opportunities out there because my first course was graphic design, but I can't really say that is what I'm doing right now. I was employed as a graphic designer. That is 2 years ago. But I found out that I was making a lot of money for my employer than myself. And then that is when it dawned to me that I need to find that extra coin. And I started looking out where should I get this extra coin. My colleague who inspired me a lot was a web developer. And I asked him, how do you make this money? And he said that per project I can make 30 to 40,000 shillings. And if you are somebody looking for money, that kind of money is tempting. So I tried to look how will I learn this web design. And I saw to go and learn web design in a college, it's almost 50,000 shillings. But yet, when you are on the internet, you are able to understand that there are a lot of free courses that you can learn web design within 2 weeks and make your first websites. So I went online and I downloaded some few videos and I was able to learn basic web design. And then still I was employed as a graphic designer, earning 10,000 per month. And that is when I saw that I have the skills of making a basic website, but I didn't know how to charge a website. I met someone who was running a company of web design, and I pretended to act like a client. And I told the guy that I want a website. How much will you charge me? And the guy asked me for requirements, and I just decided to play shallow. And I told him I just need a basic website. And that is when he told me that is 30,000 shillings. So I went to look now for my next client. And that's how I landed my first job. So when I was asked for how long I've been in the business, I said that I've been in the business long enough to create what the client wants. But then, what are those opportunities? You might be working not as a web developer or not as a graphic designer. You might be a teacher, you might be a secretary, you might be working in any other field. But one thing I can advise you is that the moment you start making internet your friend is the moment you'll understand there are a lot of opportunities. And these days it has been so much easier that you can learn any course online for free. People have had those courses and they are looking for traffic in their website. They really don't require your money because they earn a lot from advertisement that what they can charge you to learn in their course. So that's how I've been able to learn programming, and I can tell you that as per now, I'm able to compete with someone who has done computer science in a Kenyan university and yet I've never joined any university.
Thank you, Marvin. We appreciate Marvin for that. Quite interesting is exactly how you got it. Why do you run Passion for Profit? Do you think everybody has a bankable passion?
Yes, I believe everybody has a bankable passion, but I don't believe that everybody will go to the bank because of their passion.
Take a poll right there. How many people have passions here? Passions. You have a passion, not passion fruits. You have a passion. Hands, if you hand well, of those who have, just hold your hand up, one hand up with your passion. If you think you have a bankable passion, put the other hand up. So you have two hands up. If you think you have a bankable passion. Now, those who have banked or are banking their passions, let's see you. Those who are banking their passions. Frida, now you know your audience. What do you have to say?
What was your question? Does everyone have a passion?
A bankable passion.
Everybody has a bankable passion. Matthew 25:14. The master gave 3 people talents. One he gave 5, one he gave 2, one he gave 1. The 2 who went and invested and worked on it earned 100%. So the key thing is the people who will not bank their passion have not been willing to invest and earn from it. And that's why Passion Profit exists. We help you to see what you need to invest in. Number 1, you don't have to do everything yourself. Thank God for the internet. You can go and get some courses over there. But there are things that you need to learn, how to package yourself, how to get clients, how to continue getting clients, how to run your books. Alvin helps us with the finance part of that in our, in our program, how to run your books so that you're running at a profit. I find that most of the times when we're working on our passion and we're making money out of our passion, we are a little careless about running it as a business, okay? When you're running a business, you need, and please, there's some things I might say that will cross what you said, because I run business professionally. You need to rest. God rested on the seventh day. You can't work 24/7 unless you can choose to work 24/7, but because we are helping you to have a world-class global enterprise, we are helping you put systems in place that if you're doing stuff here in Nairobi, how can you duplicate that in other places, whether you're duplicating it online or otherwise, so that you're not the only one working. I think it's important that we create a structure whereby we can hire other people. Okay, we can create opportunities for other people. And that's from my Christian reasoning. God is blessing us that we may be a blessing to other people. When Moses was building when Moses came out of Egypt and was going to build the first house of God, there were people in that congregation that God had called to do particular things. Moses didn't pray to do everything, to do the carpentry, to put the roof, to put the floor. So I think one of the reasons why sometimes we fall short is trying to do everything. Find out what your passion is. Who are the partners you need to work with you? And partners are not people who will give you money. Partners like now, Alvin is a partner of Passion Profit. He runs his own company called Ari Capital. But the people who come to us that need their books handled, need to have their finance systems, we send them to Alvin. We do the general business development support service so that, because there's enough for everyone, I don't have to do everything myself.
I want to come to Karumba because if I got the introductions right, you're the recently resigned guy. So
yes.
When did you decide, I gotta quit this thing, and why did you?
I think it's something that has been building in me for a long time. Unfortunately, I learned quite early because I work in the finance industry is pretty ruthless, that we are working every day and fearing that we lose our jobs. In fact, I'm hearing since I left, it's become worse. So I love being free because, like, when I started to work, Sunday afternoon was work for me, and it's exhausting. Yeah. So, and then the final thing is I didn't fit the corporate manager because I love working. My boss didn't want me to work; they wanted me to shout at people. So there was a conflict. So I used to fail on like leadership. But I found in consulting, I get to work with clients and of course other people to achieve my goals. And also, the other reason, since I started to work, I finished school when Moi was still misruling this country. And getting a job was very hard. In fact, I remember I used to live near Wilson Airport. There's a place that they had written, Hakuna kazi usitusumbue. So I used to wake up every day. I was so idle that I dreaded mornings. So I went to volunteer at St. Thomas Barnardo's Children's Home. So I put it in my heart that I have to create a company that creates a minimum of 50 professional jobs or high-paying jobs. Let me put it that way. And so my passion is to create jobs. And also, finally, when I finished school, I went to England to volunteer with a Christian charity called CareForce in East End of London, which is poor. I guess many people don't believe whites can be poor, but I saw poverty, old age poverty. Yeah, so my dream is to fight old age poverty when you can no longer apply for a job. Can you imagine an advert on Friday paper and a 70-year-old guy comes? Yet at 70 you still need money, you still need health, you still need food. And that's, so those are the reasons that have caused me to want to work for myself. It's early days. Last week was the second one since I opened my office. Was the second week. Monday tomorrow will be the third week. But my desire is when people are old, they'll never have to fight, for their children to bring them money. Yeah, the Bible says that even a poor man is hated by their friends. So live well. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself, go out for nice food and all that, and have fun because you are young. There are also people who nyima themselves so much that they're always calculating, they're always like walking from town to Kangemi. No, just have a good life, but also remember when you can no longer work and you need that help. So it's a couple of reasons why I decided to be self-employed.
Kevin, what do you do at Genghis Capital?
At Genghis, I mostly cover the macroeconomic and agricultural sector. I cover East Africa in terms of the economic sphere. So we mostly partake towards looking at the economies of the East African region and also pair it up in terms of a comparative analysis with other sub-Saharan African countries. So as a whole, the year has been quite difficult. I can say 2015 in terms of investment banking has been quite a trepid year. We've seen, for example, the Nairobi Securities Exchange has suffered quite a number of losses. So that's translated into many clients also seeing some of the share prices going down. Generally, I do think 2016 is going to be quite better. I think whenever, I mostly insist to people that whenever the stock market is not doing well, it's the best time to instill your investments. I think there's some share prices that are down nearly 40% as compared to the same time last year. I do think the upside potential for quite a number of investments it's quite good. This is not just limited towards the stock market, because we also have a number of other asset classes. If you're looking towards, for example, the treasury bonds and the T-bills, those are key things that we've seen prices going up to nearly 22% as of 2 months ago. So we tend to advise our clients accordingly to some of the best investment options that they can take. I do think that 2016 is a year you can be able to at least earn that extra coin that we're talking about. I'm quite bullish that we will see good returns for various asset classes. We're also seeing enhanced diversification across the markets, whereby we're seeing, for example, the government is launching Emakiba, whereby people will be able to buy bonds for as low as 3,000 shillings via their mobile phone. I think this is the first in the world that we're seeing. It should be launched by around April to June of this year. We're also expecting something called the derivatives market. We've seen the introduction of the REITs market, so people are able to buy into property for low prices. So I can say that the Kenyan investment scene is looking very promising and upbeat. So it's going to be an interesting year.
Kevin, you've used quite some jargons there, but we'll let it pass. I want to bring to your question that your namesake, Kevin, raised, and he said for him, he looks at the stock and related stuff like it's Jim Namaru and Ashok Shah and whoever. They are the only guys who really make something out of it. I want you to make a comment to that and to this one as well, looking at it from my end. When KQ was just reported, I think, the highest loss ever, Chris Kirubi went and pumped in the highest investment ever. What sense is there?
Firstly, in regards to his question, it was in regards to the share price, whereby if you're investing minimal amounts, you don't see a huge return as compared to the big players. I can say that if you're seeing people like Jim Nambaru and the rest of the large cap holders, these are people who also started with small scale investments. Some of them began with minimal investments over a long duration of time, and they've managed to grow them into where they are right now. There are people who they play around with their shares in terms of, for example, some people who are playing around with the Mumia's share price when it was at 3 shillings. They were selling when it goes down to 2 shillings. They were buying. So that just 1 shilling difference, if you're equating it into a multiple transactions, you can find some people are actually making good returns for the investments. I think it's all about prudency and the advice you get for the share prices that you're investing in. There are manners in which you can be able to get a good return for your share price. I just think it's the advice you get, the share you're buying, because of course there are different share prices. Some as high as 250 shillings, some as low as 3 shillings or 4 shillings right now. Back towards your question on Kenya Airways. I can say that we're about to release a report based on Kenya Airways and looking at the fundamentals behind the company. Ideally, one thing we've seen is that whenever a company goes through a large capital expenditure, meaning that they're purchasing a lot in terms of aircrafts and other mechanisms, it tends to have an inverse effect on its revenues. Kenya Airways, of course, we've been seeing this in the news, has been affected by a lot of management problems, and also in terms of its strategy. I think these are key things that are being revised right now. We do know that McKinsey is on the ground reviewing the strategy, so we expect them to start at least enhancing on some changes. I can say the share price is very low right now. We are upbeat that it's a buy, but it's long term. You will not get a good return for the next few years, as the airline industry is very competitive. But also, if you're looking at the stock prices in terms of airlines, airline stock prices globally tend to be of lower return as compared to other stock prices. So it's also quite a risky asset to invest into. That's my prospects for that.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to introduce Beverly, but I can see the two gentlemen want to come into that same point, so I'll allow Stanley to go first, then Karumba.
You asked a very interesting question, and that's why I've really picked up that mic quickly before it moves on, yeah? About the biggest mistake that people are making about money. And I just want to just kind of compliment on what he's just spoken about. We as Kenyans, and I don't know whether this is a global thing, but we as Kenyans specifically believe that there is something like little money. And at Centonomy, those are the first words we ban from the classes. There's absolutely nothing like little money or small money. As he has said so rightly, people are, sometimes we look at someone who is in their chapter 20 and we look at ourselves in chapter 1 and we tend to compare ourselves, and we've not known the journey that that person has gone through. And one of the most important questions that I want you guys to think about right now is, what is 1 million shillings made of? Someone can answer? The answer is in the question. What is 1 million shillings made of? It's made of 1 shilling, and then they are just lined up. And if you were to take 1 shilling away from a million, would it be a million? It's those little amounts of money that we as Kenyans, pesa kidogo, it's those amounts of money that actually contain your ability to create wealth. So that 1 bob, that 2 bob, that 3 bob, that 10 bob, that is where your money lies. It's all a matter of how are you treating it. Are you treating it as pesa kidogo that you give? Those money that you give, if you have a car, it's usually in the ashtray there, waiting for someone to take it away. That is your wealth lying there. The question is, with that small amount, what are you doing? And there's one thing that we learned in primary school, if you allow me to take you back then, there's something that is called compounding. And that's one of the biggest secrets of wealth creation. And it means that if you have 10 shillings and you make a small profit and all of a sudden it's now 15 shillings, you don't eat the little, you don't eat the 5 bob on top. You throw it back in, and then next time it can be 30 bob and 40 bob and so on and so forth. Compounding is what turns that, what we refer, and I hate using it. It's actually paining. Every time I say it, it's painful to me. That small money is actually where your wealth lies. All you have to do is compound it, put it back in and in and in and in, and you and Jim Nambaru will be sitting somewhere together talking about what deal we can do.
Okay, Karumba, briefly, then we get to kuhasol.com.
Okay, I want to say, I think a couple of good points have been raised. One big mistake we make about having money is, I'll tackle 3 things. One of the big mistakes we make about making money is we go to school. I think the school fails us in 2 ways. As adults, we spend all our lives looking for money. And in school, they don't teach us how to look for money. They teach us Fasihi, English, and chemistry. And so I have to applaud each one of you because you've invested in yourself. And to me, that's very important. I wish right from the bat, as Americans say, the schools would teach us how to look for money, because we would save all the 8 for 4 years learning a skill that we'll have to use the rest of our lives. Because in school, you're taught that you avoid mistakes, how you make money is the more mistakes you make, or the more risk you take, the more ventures you try, the more likely you are to make money. Number two, if you want to be wealthy, Warren Buffett says that don't ask a barber whether you need a haircut, or your salonist whether you need your hair done. They'll of course tell you yes. I feel a lot of people are getting very bad financial and investment advice because they ask someone who has a vested interest, they have a product to sell you. And I'm saying that selling a product is bad, but never ask a barber whether you need a haircut. The answer is always yes. And finally, I know a CEO today of a large listed company. He's very wealthy, and he's never invested more than 100,000 in the stock market. But every month he takes 20, 30,000 to the stock market. And over time, he's been able to ride, and now he owns shares worth over 1 billion shillings. So what my panelist is saying here is very important. Don't despise, I have the image of this gentleman who despised his birthright. What was his name? Esau. People despise the little money, and later on we've seen people who've made huge Esau. People who despise that little money. Today, even for 500 shillings, actually even 200, you can invest in the stock market, because you'll buy Mumias at 1 shilling 16, pay my panelist fees at 2%, and you'll have 100 shillings, 100 shares of Mumia. So kindly don't despise the little money. And finally, I want to tell you that there's no difference between starting your own business, where you own 100%, to the stock investing, because you're owning a small pie of a large business. And I feel that's very important, because a lot of people feel that the moment you go to the stock market, you become like a sophisticated investor. But if I own a part of Barclays, because that's what I can own, I'm just similar to a person who owns 100% of their own business, or they are funding a colleague. So understand that there's no difference between starting your own business, you're investing, and working to the stockbroker to buy a share. It's just a continuum. And that small business, if I might use that word, one day will be listed, and other people will own a small part of that business. So it's very important, even for you, to understand that some people invest in others' business, in their own talents, depending on the time they have. Some people buy a part of Safaricom, but you just own a slice. You're just a real owner of that business. Thank you.
Thank you, Karumba. So, Beverly, what is Kuhustle.com?
Kuhustle is a platform where we believe the difference between you and that person that you're looking up to who is investing in this stock market is opportunities. There is no clear way that we can tell you this is the way to make money. Because if you look at all those wealthy people that you're thinking about, they didn't do the same thing. So at long last, when you look at it, the difference is opportunities. It's because maybe you have that 8 to 5 job, and that's what your boss needs you to do. And again, you don't need to quit to be wealthy. We've seen people who are still employed and they're wealthy. But how about those extra hours that you want to make use of and make an extra coin? You have the skills. You can be paid. I will assure you the reason why we started Kuhustle is because we were at the NILAB, a tech space, and because everyone knows that it's a tech space, they will come in there to look for people to do tech solutions for them. But we didn't have those people. So jobs are out there. That's what came out clear to us, that there are people who want things done for them. And there are people who can actually do these things. We're talking about simple tasks like doing this banner. We're talking about simple things like you need a business card, and you're willing to pay someone 5 Gs to design and print a certain number of business cards before your meeting tomorrow. Trust me, there's someone somewhere today on a Sunday who can deliver that to you before 2 p.m. So those are the things that you're looking at. We are not. I can't advise you on how to accumulate wealth. That's not our area. But one thing for sure, I can assure you, you will spend money Monday to Sunday, even today, going back home. either fuel for your car or fare going to town. You will spend money, but you will work Monday to Friday if you're employed. If you're not, you will have Saturday. There's no so much that we can do. So there are those times when you want to make money. There are those times when you have the energy, but you don't have the opportunities. So how about we create a platform where anyone who wants something done for them can come and say, this is what I want. I want a business card. I want someone to write a story for me. I want someone to manage my social media for a new company that is 2 weeks for me, and I'm willing to pay. Trust me, there are people out there who can do it. So we created a platform that allows them to come and post everything that they need. Well, because we're in the tech industry, we believe that it's easier for you to do it from the comfort of your bed. Just think, I think I need someone to do my social media to help me build my brand. Then you post it. Then someone who has already created a profile on our platform, say you're a writer, say you're good at social media, and still, let's assume you have an 8-to-5 job, or you don't even have a job like Marvin. You can do this. Create a profile, give all those skills, and he posts the job, you apply for it, you actually bid for it, because for us, apply and bid is different. Applying is like a full-time job where you have to go through all those interviews. But you just explain how you're going to do it, what you think he's looking for, how you're going to do it. We link you guys up. You get a job, you do it, come back to the site, get another job, keep doing it, and that's how we look at it. We can't advise you that, hi, quit, go do being an entrepreneur, because I believe being an entrepreneur is not something that has to be defined. When it's time for you to start a business, you will not tell anyone I want. It's that time you leave, you just consult, but when it's time, you'll go start. So we don't have a clear way, but we know everyone has a skill. We know everyone has something that they can do, and they can do very well. And we know there's someone somewhere who is looking for such a person. So that's all that we do.
Beverly, before you proceed, I want to take my second poll. And if your hand goes up first, then you get that opportunity. Just 3, 4, or 5 people who just want to tell us what they do. Those passions that went up, I want to see them. What do you do? Derek, microphone.
Just before someone answers, maybe don't tell us what you do. How about you tell us what you can do very well?
Good. Anybody who's ready? Go ahead.
Masai David, I speak on strategy.
Masai David speaks on strategy. Somebody else? Just put up your hand and Millicent will give you the microphone.
Transportation, moving anything from A to B.
Moving from anything from A to B.
Philip, designer, fashion designer.
Fashion designer. Last 2 people.
Robert Luther, I do media consultancy.
Media consultancy. Pass it to Yvonne to represent the ladies.
Yvonne Mwende, I'm a writer, communications person, and an editor.
Writer, editor, communications expert. Last lady.
Or there's someone here who said men are the ones who need the extra coin to spend on women.
Shama's hand was up.
I think numbers, Excel, financial models, just anything with numbers.
Anything with numbers. Interestingly, Shama reminds me, before I pass on to Beverly, reminds me a gentleman we met with Alvin. All he does is train people on how to use Excel. And I want to bring this, I will bring this to Frida at some point. I was at a forum, funny things. Yes, they do very funny things. And that's what they do to make the small money that Stanley talked about. Beverly, just from what we've had, the experts that we have here, where do they need to start from on Cohasol.com?
I mean, we have a writer there. We have someone who can help with books, bookkeeping. We have had very many people for the last 1 week. I don't know, it's because it's January, looking for people to actually do their accounting services. They just want someone to come before the auditing and the whole career madness is back up for people to submit tax and everything. They are looking for such people. Everyone, we can never tell, and that's why when we started, we were in the tech, we were saying people can do websites. But it was more for us. We opened it up to anything that someone, because some people like him who are starting out do not have money to have someone on a full-time. He's still starting out, but he has work that he can pay for. He wants his books done and done very well. It's his first financial year. He wants that done very well. So where do you start from? You go to our site, just sign up, create a profile, just give us your phone number so that we can let you know when the job comes. And every time a job is listed, you receive a notification. You look at it, you're like, is this a job that I can do? Because you've already given a portfolio of something that you've done before in regards to that. And that's why I asked, what do you think you can do very well? Because if it's something that you think you can do very well, you must have done it before. Just show us anywhere where we can find it. I mean, give us a link, go upload it in a Google Docs. Just say, these are some of the stories that I've written. These are some of the books that I've done for so and so. Are some of the banners that I've done. I mean, these are some of the small things, like even some of the business cards that I have done. Just put it briefly there. See the job, you think you can do it and you have the time to do it. Apply for it. I will help him as the client to actually select the best person to do this job. And you have your job, finish it. It gives feedback on how good you are, how the experience was in terms of time and detail to work with you. You also give feedback to him as a client. Does he pay? Did he pay on time? Does he communicate really well? And then for the next job, I mean, you have a profile rating. You won't have a very hard time to actually get the next client. And we actually recommend people to our clients. If you've done a job with us and we know how good you can do it, we have a recommend button. We separate you from the rest of the people that we don't know how well they can do. But we train them. We are working with partners to ensure that we link you up, because our business is not training, to link you up with people who are very good in training to uplift you to a point where you can actually do this job.
Marvin, this is where you come in. When did you start working with Kuhasol?
First, I didn't want to speak about Kuhasol, but I wanted to tell those people who have said that they have a skill out there that if you can't find a job opportunity at Kuhasol, you can find a job opportunity elsewhere. I never met my first clients on Kuhasol, but recently I found them on Kuhasol. Once you have understood what you are capable of, then the next point is to find where you will apply your skills, where you will apply your knowledge. Those people who have skills in writing, book writings and all that, it's just a matter of packaging yourselves and sourcing for those clients. I started working for Kuhasol last year on February, and it's just through looking online, and I was trying to look for freelancer websites, and I don't know what came into my mind, and I just typed freelancer website in Africa. And that's when I found Kuhasol. I just created the profile, and I left it. And 2 months later is when I went to open my email, and I found that jobs being posted in Kuhasol. And I bid for my first job, and that's when I got my first client. But what if you don't get that opportunity at Kuhasol? What else do you do? If you are looking for getting the first client, I will tell you that my first client was my parish, Catholic parish. Those are the first guys I did a website for. So even you out there, just know where to target. And my graphic design teacher used to tell me that the best brand one can sell is yourself, because you are the only person who knows yourself very well. You are the only person who knows how you can deliver. So the best thing you can do is that know what you are capable of, know the people that you need to work for, and then go and find them. Tell them all that is in your mind, tell them all that you have, and trust me, that's when you'll get your extra coin there. Thanks.
Okay, Stanley, I see you already on the same. Then I'll ask Alvin before I move to Frida after Stanley. When one is just starting up, now like Karumba, but fortunately Karumba is the financial guy. Somebody else, say I am just starting up. What are the small financial basics that I need to know before even I hire the extra person? But that is after Stanley.
Thank you. Is it on? I just want to throw a spanner in the works. Something that Beverly has mentioned has really sort of moved me. And she said that there is no single way of making money, of creating wealth. There is no one recipe. Now, today so far we've really tapped into something called entrepreneurship. It shows you where I went to kindergarten. Entrepreneurship. But there's something else that is called intrapreneurship. And that is, there is a large amount of people who, for them, starting a business is not what their kind of passion leads them into. They are more focused into building their career, and that is the way that they will create wealth. It's interesting that though the big names in wealth creation, Kina Jim Nambaru, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, all those are entrepreneurs. But for what I would call the regular people, wananchi wa kawaida, the main way that people choose to create money or wealth for themselves is actually through employment. But the question is, and you need to ask this for you who is salaried, are you doing everything possible at your workplace to ensure that you are getting paid as much as you should be? Okay? Now, it's interesting to note that Beverly is an employee of Kuhasol. Stanley is an employee of Centonomy. And we are here on a Sunday working for our companies. The question is, when it gets time to be paid more, guess who will be on that list, top of the list? Who will it be? Will it be the person who is asleep Sunday afternoon? Or will it be that person who has gone the extra mile for their company? So this is one of the things that we really need to think about. We really like complaining about our jobs, but realize and ask yourself, are you doing everything possible to make sure that your salary this year is less than your salary will be next year? Have you built a personal brand? Are you working from a position of your strengths as opposed to your weaknesses? Do you know how it is to build? Do you use your networks? Do you have a career plan? Is your CV effective? So these are things we need to explore. Since we are talking about the extra coin, entrepreneurship is just one of the ways you can make an extra coin. At your job, what are you doing to make an extra coin at work? The current job that you have. Someone in the Bible was told to look at their hands. And their hands, they thought that it was empty. They thought that something else had to come from somewhere to create a miracle. They were just told, what do you have in your hands? And for many of us, we already have. You have a job. What are you doing there to make sure your salary increases? So that was just entrepreneurship, and there is also intrapreneurship. An entrepreneur who works for someone else's business. Yes.
For instance, starting this week or this month, or I'm saying in 2016 is the year when I want to start my business. But of course, financial issues are some of those, and half of us don't like figures. So what are these things that I need to know and for me to be able to be on a good footing financially?
What I normally tell business people is that finance is actually not about figures. Finance is actually about telling a story. It's about communication. You've all talked about nice ideas. The book writer, transport, so on and so forth. That is your gift, that is your talent. You create a business that actually goes and does that. And the reward you get for doing or delivering your services is actually the money that you get. Now, finance or a financial system just organizes how your money goes out, how your money comes back in. It records with utmost integrity how you spend your money and how your money comes back in. But what is most important is the financial information that you get from your business. That's what's important. And that financial information helps you make smart choices. If you lack information, if you lack the ability to communicate with your business, then you lack intelligence to run your business effectively. So your financial system is about communication. That's the first thing I normally like to demystify. It's not about Excel. It's not about QuickBooks. It's not about my accountant. It's how
authentic is the information, financial information I'm getting from my business? Of course, there's certain things that you need to put in place. There is the paperwork that you need to put in place. There is the evidence that you need to capture for every transaction, your receipts, your invoices, your checkbook, your bank statements. All those are the things that happen at the back that give your information integrity. So what's important is, number one, to understand the function of your financial department. It's more about communication with your business than the nitty-gritty things. Yeah. And everyone wants to communicate with your business, even with your bank. If you go to a banker, the banker will tell you, I need your profit and loss account, I need your balance sheet, I need your cash flow statement. What thing is, I want to communicate with your business. I want to understand what your business is all about. I want to understand the trends of your business. Now, if a banker requires that information, how much more you, the business owner, would you require that information? Your taxman, KRA, also want to understand the story behind your business. How much profit are you making so that they could, understand your obligation and the tax obligation that you have?
Okay, we come to Frida and helping, converting passions to create profits. Just before I get to the real question, I want to start with this one. The people you've interacted with over the years, what are some of the few things you have come to learn about young entrepreneurs, people just starting up, both the cons and the pros?
I think one key thing I've observed is when people want to turn their passion into profit, they don't think of it as a big picture. They look at it as, I want to be careful about the word I use. They look at it as something they're doing on the side, that they don't look at it as a business that one day will employ people and other people. And it's very important that when you're starting a business, when you're starting anything, your mindset will determine how far you'll go with that project or whatever it is. So I find that normally stops them because they're just thinking maybe I can do hair from my house or I can make cakes from my house. And it's a good start. But if you're not thinking that how one day you will have a place where you're paying rent and how that cake will go from that place to wherever around town, then you struggle. I give you a quick example. We had a lady that's a professional. She's still working. She works at a bank. And she was starting, she bakes from home. And she bakes in Kitengela. And her cakes are good, so word is getting around that she bakes. So now she came to us. We have what we call SME clinic. You can come and, have a one-on-one with a business coach. And her problem was that people are disturbing her. I happened to be the one meeting with her and asked her, why are people disturbing you? She said, now they want me to take for them cake on, in town. They want me to take for them cake I don't know where. And me, I'm in Kitengela. So I said, that's a good problem. They're not disturbing you. They're just showing you that what you're creating has value and they need it. You need to have a system in place. You can have partners. I just give a simple suggestion. Have you thought of having a courier that can, you can be working with to deliver this cake? She hadn't thought of it. And again, because of her mindset when she was starting, that she can just bake a few cakes from her house and then a few cakes from her house and just deliver them and make some extra money. So I think one of the panelists said it earlier when you asked about, does anyone ever have enough money? It's important for us, whether we are employed or whether we are having our own business, to define what is enough, okay? And why is that enough? How much money does it take to keep up with you? Whether it's where you want to live, what you want to drive, where your children are going to go to school. So it kind of helps you have a strategy of how you're going to achieve that. Otherwise, you just keep running in circles. You'll never know whether you're having enough or not. It's like you're just, you're getting money. You don't know how you're spending it because you don't have a proper plan. So I think one thing that I can say is mindset.
Okay, I see Karumba is ready, but before Karumba comes in, and Frida will be coming back to you to give us just a checklist. If I am to run a successful startup, because statistics have it that only 10% of startups succeed after the first year. 90% of them are killed within the first 12 months. So just to give us a checklist of, if I'm to run a successful startup, what are the things that I need to know? What needs to be in place for me to hit the 13th month and get even into the 25th month. But for now is to Kevin. We've just heard that yes, we can create wealth and we can get the extra coin from our jobs, what we do 8 to 5. With a few people, I like to tell them, unaenda kutengezea mdosi kazi. So nikiamka asubuhi naenda kutengezea mdosi pesa. The reward that I get out of it, what Stanley was talking about, and I have, for instance, just about 10 or 20,000 to spare. What can that do for me from your desk? And maybe for those who went to school where I went, you may want to use simple language.
Well, I'll look at it from a broader perspective, not just in terms of the stock market, but more of a macro overview. Yes, the ideal 8 to 5 job is based on at least getting that job security and that end month check. But ideally also, we need to look at it from a perspective of gaining experience. I can say that having been where I am right now, I've gained an immense wealth of experience. So that can be quantified even in terms of a financial amount, but I can say at least I've earned a lot. If you're looking towards also utilizing your salary in terms of channeling some of it towards other investment platforms, I can say that, like I had mentioned earlier, that there's the whole aspect of A, coming into the stock market, and then B, also looking towards diversifying these funds into multiple other channels. For example, instead of just looking at it from that perspective of buying a stock, there's other funds such as unit trust, where we, instead of you saying you want to buy into this company, you're just giving the firm. We have a unit trust program called Hella Fund. So you are guaranteed at least on a good return on investment based on sound management practices, whereby we advise we pull resources from various people. So for as low as 500 shillings, as was mentioned earlier, we can actually start investing small amounts for people, and they can be able to get a good return. However, when we're looking at other investments outside of stock market, I can say that this year, for example, the Amakiba, buying into bonds, if you're looking at the return for bonds right now, you can buy a 1-year bond for an average of nearly 14%. So that's at least a guaranteed return of a 1 year of 14%, which is quite high. And you have the security knowing that the government is going to pay you back that money. There's also, I can say that looking at can guarantee you a better return on investment.
Okay, thank you. Karumba, and then I see Beverly, then Karumba, and we go to Frida before we are ready for the break.
Okay, I happen to be in the space at the NILAB, and I've actually worked at the NILAB, and their main focus is entrepreneurship. So as much as you mentioned starting with small capital, I would even advise some people who don't even have that to start. If it's to start, you have to start right now, and you don't need money to start. You could actually get someone who wants something to be done for them. You do it, and then you keep growing the business as you go along. So I think you just need passion, because Kuhasol is also a startup. It's actually 1 year, 4 months old. We have done like a couple of projects, more than 200 projects. And what it has helped me learn all along is start small. We started with tech. Grow as you go along. Get one client, then do it very well. Then the client brings one more person, and you bring another person, and your friend brings in another person, and you go along. But if you want to start very big, I can't tell you of any startup that has gone through the incubation program at the NILAB that ever started big. Because first of all, there's the whole idea. Because mostly, and in most cases, what you think your customers want, it's never what they want. Because that's what you think. So you first of all go to them and ask them, would you buy this? Would you pay for this? Then get back, keep doing it. And even the biggest companies, look at Facebook, they're still introducing features. So I don't think, actually entrepreneurship doesn't come to an end. You just opt to hand over and retire and then employ. See, but it never comes to an end because business will be there. Things will keep changing. So don't wait until you have all that money to start. Because like when we started, we didn't have any money. We actually still don't have any money. But we just got someone to be part of the team, build the platform. I did operations, called the first clients. I actually still call clients every day when they come through. And we got someone who is our advisor. And that's all that we needed to start. You just need a team. You just need people who like what you're doing, who are very passionate. They have to believe in what you're doing. That's one thing. Well, maybe could be friends. Well, not sure how friends really work unless there is a business boundary. But you don't need, I actually don't think you need everything to start. You just need the passion and a team.
Okay, Karumba.
Thank you very much. I think I want to say three things, and I just want to pick up on what my panelists are saying. I would spend a lot of times looking at websites like entrepreneur.com, inc.com. If you forget everything I've said, remember this statement, that there is power in starting, or starting is miraculous. But you might need to start by, I see a lot of people are writing that. There is magic in starting. Like since I started my farm, some people have just been marketing for me, called Karumba. And they don't have any interest. There is a lot of help available for entrepreneurs. People are willing to support you. I also want to say that you already know enough. Sometimes it's fear that holds us. I've attended so many seminars on startups, on entrepreneurships. I've been in conferences. But we are still sometimes held back by fear. So there is magic or there is miracle in starting. I want also to say that employment is great. I've been employed all along. And last time we were in the hall, we said that it's not like being an entrepreneur, you are a child of a higher God. No. Some people will achieve their biggest dreams in employment and they'll use that income to do things for free that really they are passionate about. Then finally, I want to say that don't run somebody else's marathon or race. I have a friend who runs marathon and he tells me that why people lose or faint or fall by the wayside is that they copy. You see me running very quickly, you follow me. And unfortunately, as Beverly said, there's no single way to make money. Even us who are seem as if financially we are knowledgeable, we are looking for some. And we need a lot of it. So don't copy anyone. Run your race. There are businesses that didn't exist 10 years ago. And even in that thing that you think you could make money in, that extra coin, just offer to do it for free. A great story that we are told is that house company called Montezuma. Somebody bought a house and they painted it Montezuma and went to everywhere in Kenya for free or for little money or just to recover the expenses. Soon, every villager wanted a house. I can tell even where I come from. We have to raise money nowadays for house services. I don't know, I can't even remember what we used to do before that. So, sometimes you need to work it for free. You have to talk for free. This gentleman has emceed for free. And when I need him for my event, he charges me 50,000. Yeah, but that's very important because we've had songs by 50 Cent, Die Rich or Get Rich or Die Trying. And that's what mistaking us, because us as young people, I want to declare all of you are young, we want to be rich overnight, and that's a problem. I've seen people who even write books for free and they get published, they don't make a coin, but the next time they're able to charge for something. Anyway, don't expect free services. Sometimes you have to invest, but for you to take your gift off the ground, sometimes you have to speak for free. I've had to speak for free to get paid. Later on, down the line, you start to make money. Companies like LinkedIn, I'm not sure that they're still making money, but they keep at it. And one day somebody will pay for your talent.
Okay, I see Alvin is ready. Before you get a checklist from Frida. Alvin?
I think I wanted to say one thing, it's important to get the definitions right. There's a big difference between entrepreneurship and a business person. An entrepreneur is actually a problem solver. It's a system of thinking. And I think we get these two definitions intertwined. When you talk about entrepreneurship, an entrepreneurship never goes to sleep. They are constantly thinking of, how do I create a solution in that chaos? It's pretty much what you're talking about. How do I continue improving this solution over and over again? How do I keep on listening to the customers over and over again and giving them something that they are willing to pay for? A business person, on the other hand, is somebody who can manage systems. A business is all about systems. It's somebody who's smart enough, who has the skill enough to manage systems. And what systems are we talking about? We're talking about a financial system, people system, and operational systems. That's what a business person does. And you can actually be a very good business person and not an entrepreneur. And you can be actually a very good entrepreneur and not a very good business person. Ask Steve Jobs. He was kicked out of his business. So it's very important to get those two definitions right.
Okay, I want to ask Marvin, as a freelancer, I don't know where I'll just use the freelancer so I am safe. I don't know whether you're a business person or an entrepreneur. But with what you do, what are the challenges you encounter day to day? So whoever is preparing to hit the streets tomorrow knows what they're going to get into.
The first challenge that you'll ever get as a freelancer is that nobody will ever be ready to trust you with their money on the first instinct. And even you can ask my panelist here, you just don't come and tell them that I want to do your website for 40,000 and they write you a check on the spot. You can be having a great portfolio, but when it comes to money, people need some sort of security. So one thing you can do is that just package yourself properly. And what my colleague has said, sometimes you offer to do things for free and you never know what is in store for you. I am a testimony of one website that I did for free, and I was paid 2 times what I could have charged and what I had thought of charging that client. So one thing is how you package yourself, and that is how clients will perceive you. Remember, you are going to meet someone who doesn't know you, and the first impression they have on you is what will determine their decision. Secondly is how well are you going to convince this client to take your solution. Remember, for them to pay you, it means that what you are offering them is a solution to their problem. It's only that they are never thought of going to look for somebody to solve that problem. So you need to understand that when you are meeting this client, what is this that I'm offering them, and what impact is this solution is going to create to them. And the third thing is that you have to keep on looking and looking and looking. Remember, whatever skills that you have, you are not the first person to learn that skills. Neither are you going to be the last person to learn that skills. Day in, day out, universities are graduating and people are coming into the market, and we don't have those jobs. So the best way you'll package yourself will determine how you're going to acquire those clients.
Thank you. And just to say something about Marvin that I learned today, he's a timekeeper. And I think that is a lesson for whether you're a businessman or an entrepreneur, you need to learn to keep time. And I was reading a blog by Bikozulu, most of you must have read it, where he talks about a 19-year-old who runs a Chupa Chap. And I'll not tell you what Chupa Chap is about, but you can look at, but he says when he asked this young man in the office, because he does what everybody else does. Okay, he delivers booze for those who are subscribers to their, where you are. So he asked this young man, why do you think you are doing better than the others? And the young man said one thing, I am different from the others because I pick all my calls. And for the start, I thought, that's something very usual. But I think it's important that an entrepreneur, you pick all your calls. And now from Marvin, you keep time. He says whatever the appointment he has, he's there 30 minutes earlier. And thank you. That's a good show. And he was here. We asked him to be here at 1, and Marvin was here just shortly before 12:30. And then it was like, I'll just wait. I don't have a problem. I just need to be here early. And I want to point out Gathoni as well. Where is Gadhoni? Gadhoni is somewhere at the back. We tell Gadhoni, Gadhoni, you need to set up by 12. And Gadhoni gets here before 12. She puts her vehicle in the parking with all the food there and goes into the service or sits there waiting. So just two things I needed to point out for you who's going to do business, that you need to keep time and you need to pick all your calls. We want to take a break, but Frida, your checklist is ready. Just on top of your head, what do we need to do?
Very quickly, number one, define your motivation, because it's your motivation that will help you stick to what it is you're doing. So don't just start a business because somebody else is starting a business. Make sure you're solving a problem. It's not just something you enjoy doing, but it's going to be a solution for someone. Then have a business model. A business model will help you to expand and think through your business. A business model shows the value you are creating and how you will deliver it to your customers. Have a budget, but be willing to start small, like the lady over there told us. Be willing to start small. Be willing to start with what you have where you can. Define your target audience. Everyone and anyone will get you, no one. So everyone is not your client. You have to define who it is so that you speak their language and they'll be able to buy from you. Define how your clients will be reached, which will be covered on the business model. And then participate actively in a network. You don't have to struggle so much about getting clients if you're clever about networking. Be patient and willing to evolve. How you start is not how you'll end. The plan will change many times. Listen to your customers. Make sure you're meeting their needs and not just pursuing to do what you enjoy doing. You don't have to make the mistakes others have made. I find people keep saying entrepreneurship is hard, starting a business is hard, and all that. It doesn't necessarily have to be hard. If you talk to those who have started and are going somewhere, the things that made it hard for us, we can help you so that you start from, where we are at instead of starting from where we started years ago. So I'll say that again. You don't have to make the mistakes others have made. Find help. There's a lot of good help available. And finally, last but not least, put your trust in God.
Thank you very much, Frida, and all of you. When we come back, we'll talk about the question of a co-partner, and we'll talk about online presence, and then I'll hand over to you to ask your questions. But for now, I wish for us to take a break, and the break is not going to last anything more than 3 minutes. It's a simple drill. The snacks are already packed. Just get there. Gadhoni, Millicent will sort you out. Once you pick it, you just come back to your seat, and then we are ready to run. Because the rains are threatening, we may have to move our sitting area inside the tent so we are safe. But for now, thank you very much. That has been part 1 of the Extra Coin. We come back for part 2, learn more about Kuhustle.com and learn more about online presence of our businesses, and then you get to ask your questions. So keep them ready so that we save a lot of time on that particular time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. See you in 3 minutes.
Generation, we've been called for to show His excellence. Hey, all I require, I know who I am. We are a chosen generation.
And Karumba, you've been told to look for a social media manager. I can get you one on a light note. So, Frida, online presence. But as you prepare to talk about online presence, I want to go to Kevin to start us off in this second part. Shareholder. And there are people who buy today to sell tomorrow. I need you to make a comment on that one. I don't know how to put the question. You'll just need to make a comment. Number 2, what are the stocks that you can tell these people to put their money in tomorrow? As the market stands today, as at the last statistics you saw, what are the stocks, what are the companies you can tell these people to wake up tomorrow morning and put their money right there?
Wow, you put me on the spot there. Firstly, I'll start with your first question, why people hold or sell or buy stocks. Its the basic principle is around the perception one has on the value of the stock. Like, for example, Kenyans are they have a peculiar habit when it comes to the stock market. I noticed it's influenced heavily by rumors and also by perception. If someone is, for example, the headline today is Mumias is bailed out by the government, everyone came rushing in on both stocks. And then a few days later, the share prices start going down. Our government announces that they're privatizing some sugar companies. People became skeptical. They started selling shares. But however, another interesting fact is that within Kenya, for example, last year, 70% of all trades were done by foreigners within the stock market. So our stock market is heavily influenced by external sources. The reason being is that Kenyans have not picked up on the investments on the stock market. I think as and when we do see Kenyans, especially young Kenyans, investing more within the stock market, we will see it grow. If you're comparing it on a sub-Saharan African basis, we're still very relatively lower. We can be able to at least offset some of the risks in terms of the losses that we've been facing if we're only to see more investments by young people. Now back towards the holding. Some people choose to hold stocks because they feel the company will at least record stronger profits within the financial year or within the years to come. Or for example, right now you can see some companies like Safaricom. You're seeing year on year the profits are going up. We're expecting about 36 billion this year, which is the strongest they've ever done. So you're anticipating that companies are going to continually grow stronger. So that in turn will mean that the share price will rally. So in the long-term prospects, you can be able to hold on to that stock based on the perception that you will accumulate more within a long duration of time. Now, back to your first question in regards to our online presence. We as Jengis Capital have a strong online presence. We also allow clients to trade online. I think as time goes, we might even be rolling out a mobile product to at least allow people to also trade stocks via the mobile phone. You know, in Kenya, we notice that innovation is what really captivates Kenyans and can be able to make them easier to invest. I think young people are attracted by innovative products that can be able to allow them to invest in an easier manner. In terms of even social media, we have the strongest social media presence for an investment bank. So in terms of growth, we have seen immense growth opportunities from our online presence. It has allowed us to attract more clients. And I do think that for businesses in general, the only way you can succeed in the 21st century is based on strong innovation, hinged on prudent technologies that you're using.
Okay, thank you very much. Stanley, you want to make a comment? Because I want to ask Beverly one question before I go to Frida and then hand over the mics. Which was, which stocks, where you should put your money tomorrow morning?
I forgot. I think I was dodging it. I will give you an overview based on a recommendation. We're strongly bullish on banking sector. That's a first.
Kevin, when you say you're bullish, you know.
Oh, sorry. When I say we'll use the bull. When I say bull, it means we're optimistic. Yes, we're seeing a lot of growth. If you're seeing, for example, share prices as of Friday for Equity and even Barclays, they were all down. They've really been rallying down. I think even the past 2 weeks we've seen share prices going down. Banking stocks tend to be one of the best performing generally within the stock market. We're approaching the full financial year. They've just closed their books in December, so that means they'll be releasing the results within the next 1 month. I think by next month. Usually what happens is that when they're announcing their profits, especially the tier 1 banks are the big banks, Barclays, Equity, so on. When we see like Equity and KCB announcing their profits, it usually means that their profits derive that their share price goes up. So right now we're seeing some companies performing 40% lower than last year. That we call it the 52-week, which was January last year. The same share price is 40% lower. So in terms of banking sector, I do think that there are some shares that people can be able to invest in that can give them a good return by the end of the year. In terms of insurance sector, we've seen companies such as Britam, the share price has really gone down. I do think that they will announce some modestly good earnings, so that should at least increase their share price. However, not just on the stock market, I also like looking at the T-bill and T-bonds. I can say that I see the prices are going up. I think we also, 2 months ago, it was at 22%, which is the highest it's been in many years. This usually happens because of government borrowing. The second half of the financial year, which is between January to July, tends to be high in terms of spending. Government is looking for a lot of money. I do expect them to come into the market, so that will mean the prices for some T-bills will go up within the short term, because now they can't go into the international market to borrow at a cheap rate based on the US federal Fed rate hike, and also because of the Eurobond saga, whereby the international perception on international debt instrument financing for Kenyan government is relatively bad. So that means that the local market, that's all of us, will be supporting the government in terms of raising money, and that means the rates will go up.
Okay, very, very fast, Stanley.
No, I actually wanted to make a comment before I think Frida goes into online. Just something that I feel is important, and I know she will definitely touch on, is this thing called visibility, which I think is where we are going into. And this applies to whether you're looking to create wealth through entrepreneurship or as an employee. Visibility is extremely important. It doesn't matter how good you are at your job or how wonderful the cakes you make are. If no one knows about it, it really doesn't matter. You may have the world's best cakes, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't matter. There's, for example, social media. Before Facebook was created, there were other websites that were far better at doing what Facebook does than Facebook itself, and they still exist. But because no one knows about them, they are a non-starter. And it's the same thing with employment. You may be the world's best employee, and you know that you do very good work. And I think that's a common complaint. I do great work for this company, but I'm not recognized. You must match your ability with your visibility. As a matter of fact, I'd even say let your visibility be even bigger, because it's what attracts people to you. Ability is then what keeps them. Okay? So everyone knows you make wonderful cakes, but for them to keep coming back to you, the cakes must continually be wonderful. But if no one in the first place knows that you don't exist, then it doesn't matter how good you are at cakes or your job or accounting or Excel. Visibility is one of the key principles of fantastic entrepreneurship. I think it was actually in Frida's list as she went down it. So I'd love to hear what the panel has to also say about the online then.
Okay, Karumba, you
okay, I'll just add on to what the other panelists are saying. There are people we call, in regard to the question Sako had asked, day trader. You buy shares, they go up, you sell, you see them going down, you sell, then you buy more, they go up, you sell and make money. And a lot of people do that, but the problem with that in our market is that the fees are very high at 2%. Meaning if you buy a stock for money less than 100,000, you pay 2%. And if you sell, you pay another 2%. Meaning that if you make 4% on your investment, you've only made money for the guy who told you, who recommended the stock for you. So I think what, as Pine Hill, we advise people is to do more long-term investment. In fact, we tell people, don't invest money you cannot afford to lose. Yeah, because some people invest their school fees, and sometimes the market can take long to recover before the fees is required. So investors sometimes take a long-term view. The other thing is, as one panelist was saying, all of us should be very happy because the stock market is down. Us in the investment community look to us. Warren Buffett, he said, if I'm going to buy burgers the rest of my life, I should be delighted when they go down. Many of us are in our investment phase, so we should be delighted that good stocks like KCB, Equity Bank are below 40 bob. So I'm very excited just that I don't have money to buy. Yeah, but if I'm a buyer of cars, we are happy when the price of flour comes down. So the same with shares. Right now we're in the investment phase. These companies will do well over the long term. There are a lot of young people. And finally, it's about, I can say that Kenyans are, queer investors. You find that a person has 1,500,000 or 100,000, and which they take like 3 months to earn or save, but they take 2 minutes to invest, and that I never understood why people do that, or they invest on hearsay. What are people saying? One of the panelists was saying rumors. For me, it takes me a long time to earn $1 million. So if I'm going to put $1 million in the stock market, I should at least do my homework. The greatest joy in investing is learning. And all of us are creative. We use crayons when we are young. And when it comes to finances, we become so paralyzed. You hear somebody using bullish, you become intimidated. Yeah? Don't. Just ask them what it is. Take time to learn. It's a lot of your money that you took months and months to save, and then you want to invest on hearsay. You don't want to take a week to do the work. You want to invest in your house. Unasikia plot zinauzwa Kamulu by a well-respected firm. You buy, even without going there, for 100,000, 250,000, like a colleague of mine did, where I used to work. They bought a plot for 100,000. After 3 years, they wanted to sell. They asked another neighbor, how much are plots going there? Akaambiwa zimepanda, you can actually buy yours for 80K. You can actually sell yours for 80,000. So I feel very sad when people invest in this and they don't want to do the work, and they have worked so hard to earn the money.
Beverly, the question I wanted to ask you, I want to ask you 2 questions. One, because on kuhustle.com, I need to place a bid if I see something that I can do. Now, what does a good bid look like? What must it have? Now that you are on the back end, you help the client select who's going to do the job. So what does a good bid have? Number 2, question number 2 is this. People who do their professional jobs, just the jobs they do. Like if I'm an HR expert, if I am a marketing manager, if I am whatever job it is that I do, what are my opportunities on kuhustle.com?
Onto your first question, how does a good bid look like? A good bid just needs you to look at what the client is looking for and tell them what you're going to offer them, how you're going to do it, and what the solution that they get is going to do. You just need to answer the questions of what are you offering them, how are you going to do it. Of course, there's a question of how long it's going to take, but most clients don't really know how long it's going to take because you're the one who is doing the work. And of course, what are the results that they're going to get, and what are some of the ways in which they can use your solution to make more money. Well, because most of the clients, if they're looking for a solution, it's because they want to make either their customer process better, or they want to invent something that is going to also make the whole business cycle better. So at some point, it has to be influencing good service or more money. So you just have to tell them how the solution that you're going to offer to them is going to make it the process or everything better for them. And most clients currently are really care about how the solution you're going to give to them can be improved in the future. Like if you're marketing for them, like what are some of the things that they can look at in the future? Because most of the clients really want something done for them, but you know more things that can be done for them. And that's why the people who work on our platform, we call them consultants, because not freelancers, consultants, because it's exactly what they're doing, they're consulting. Today you'll come do a banner, and tomorrow that design is outdated and the client wants a different message. So you have to consult for the client and tell them that, yeah, you have to assure them that there's continuity of business. They don't want to keep consulting with different people. Well, they will at some point. They might need to because of the change of business and then just to try out something different, but they want continuity of business. So you have to assure them how the solution you're giving to them is good and how they can maximize on it. The next question was...
Question is for people who are doing the 8
Yeah.
to 5 job, how can they translate that into getting opportunities on Kuhasol?
For the people who have full-time jobs, one of the things that you can do is do this part-time. Create a profile, get jobs. Well, I am sure that even in the office, you can get time over lunchtime to do something on the side, or even after 5 p.m. you can choose to leave at 8 p.m. just to get to do something different. On Saturdays, maybe if your job is Monday to Friday, you have time, you want to work, you want to make income. Remember what I said, you will spend money Monday to Sunday, but you will, if you're employed or if you're working for someone or if you have a job or maybe you're working for yourself at times. Sometimes we have people who are entrepreneurs, not business guys, entrepreneurs, but they also work on our platform because they need money to substitute their company expenses and keep it running, and also their personal lives, because most of entrepreneurship stories or even lives really don't pay a lot during the start, so they need something to keep them running. The other way in which you can get to use our platform is you can actually get a job on our platform. If you want to change your career, if you want to change your job place, if you want to go to a new platform, to a new company, we are offering companies. This is something that we're testing out. We rolled it out from October, so we want to see how people are picking it up, then we can have it fully on the site. So we are right now allowing companies to hire people from our site. Just post a job, client gives the description of who they are looking for. You get somewhere to give the details of your CV and what you can do, and then you will get shortlisted, invited for an interview, hopefully get a job. If not, we give feedback to you on what the problem was, and also you keep applying for jobs that can meet your skills.
Karumba, 10 seconds, and then we...
I have 10 seconds, so don't finish them. I want to say that, you can't be undisciplined at your employer's place and you make the extra coin. Why do a lot of people need that job? Because when it comes to your hobby, you're not disciplined. And remember what was being said about keeping time, about paying people on time. That's very, very important. And I think if we are going to make, because we are used to a culture of fear where you are beaten if you come late. Yeah, but in entrepreneurship and business management, what I'm learning, and I've always known, you have to be more disciplined. You have to keep your promises. You go to kuhasol.com, you say you'll do work within 2-3 days, 3 weeks down the line, you're still telling the client, I'm just about to finish, and you still want the extra coin, it will be a problem. So I hope and I wish for all of us is that as we use our talents or as we go to our side hustles, the same discipline you apply when you have to fight traffic and clock in at work and leave and make sure you submit assignments on time because you fear your boss. You apply the same to your own work. Many of us would be billionaires. But when it comes to our own, Kuhasol assignment, your side work, you are somewhere where nobody has a cane over you, you think like there's a person who brought a birthday cake to our house 3 days after the birthday.
Frida, businesses that are starting, businesses that are existing, online presence. When I go online, I need to see them. What do they need to do? What do they need to know? How do they do all this?
Okay. I think the first thing, again, going back to your target audience, you need to know who is your target audience, how do they like being reached. Not all clients are on Facebook, not all are on Twitter. So don't assume that everybody goes on Facebook. Find out where your clients go, and then after that, make sure that you separate your personal and business profiles. I find sometimes you have a business profile, but you're posting stuff, the food that you're taking at Villa Rosa and stuff like that. The client is not interested in that really. So have a personal profile, you can do those selfie things, and then the business profile, you can do, stuff that is interesting the client. Don't sell all the time. Remember, it's a place where you're going to show your client the value that you bring. You can post testimonials. You can post, you can have, like we have what we call a passion profit tip on our Twitter and Facebook spaces. Every day there's something that's going out that gives you a tip. So post value. Every now and then you can sell something, but don't just make it that every day you have a special offer, you're selling something. People kind of get tired of that. You want to make sure that you are consistent. When people go to your website and they go to your Facebook and they go to your Twitter, the images are the same, the language is the same. There's some consistency there, colors are the same. Because at the end of the day, you want people to associate you with a certain color. When you see orange and green, it's passion profit. A few other people who do entrepreneurship that are doing orange and green, people call and ask us, are you related to these people? Are you working with these people? Because we started with the orange and green. And for a specific purpose, orange for passion, green for money. So and I'm saying that for you to understand that when you're looking at colors, don't just choose the color that you like, and that's okay, but always find deeper meaning for the stuff that you do. Then you start growing a story around your company. If you can, I think I'm sorry, I keep not getting your name. What's your name? The Kuhasol lady. Beverly. I think it's great to have somebody help you run those platforms. Again, you don't have to do everything yourself. I think what they're offering might have some help, that kind of help for a social media person. Then they do it professionally. Make sure that you check. Sometimes we forget to check the DM or somebody has sent an inbox. If you're doing it yourself, you're the one hustling all over the place. You might not always check. But if you have somebody that's running it for you, then the questions can be answered on time. I think that's all I can think of for now.
Just in addition to that one, what are the key platforms that we should seek to be part of?
Definitely the main ones: Facebook, Twitter. If you do things that you have, products you have to take pictures of, Instagram is recommended. Have a LinkedIn. You can have a personal profile on LinkedIn, but you can also have a LinkedIn page for your business. So those are some of the key places I would recommend.
Right.
And of course, our website.
Okay.
There's a website guy here.
Okay. And let's get to the website guy before now Derek passes the microphones to you. On those online platforms that we've mentioned, plus any other, what do you do? And I just want you to list them. Just tell us you do this, you develop this, so that anybody who needs that can always reach you after this.
Each social platform has its own target or its own purpose. For example, you don't expect to create a Facebook page to be selling shoes, and then you go and create a page in LinkedIn to be selling shoes. Because again, you look at the target market, as they have said. So the moment you understand your target audience, that one will assist you in understanding which social platform to use. Again, there are people who have sold so much on Facebook, and then there are other people who have sold so much on other platforms like Instagram. So the major ones which I can recommend are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are for people who require to sell products that users have to see first for them to buy. For those ones, I can create for you the Facebook page. I can assist you in getting the users. There are platforms that people pay for them to get the users, and then there are other options which you call search engine optimization, and then that comes in line with the social media marketing, whereby we need you to get, like, it's better you have 100 users who are willing to buy your product rather than have 10,000 users who are just there to make sure that your Facebook page just goes viral every now and then. So mine is just to make sure that if you get 100 users, there are 100 users who are going to add value to your business, rather than having 10,000 people who the best thing they'll be doing is liking and retweeting, and they'll just be retweeting to their friends and all that.
Okay, as you get your questions ready, just a few statistics on Facebook as released by Facebook themselves. Latest December, in Kenya alone, there are 2.7 million Kenyans on Facebook every single day. And out of the 2.7 million, 2.5 reach Facebook by mobile devices. So if you're looking to get online, those are your figures. In a week, I think there are about 5.4 million Kenyans on Facebook every single week accumulatively. And out of the 5.4 million, 4.9 of them access social media via mobile devices. The other thing, an average Kenyan looks at their Facebook page or whatever using their phone at least 10 times a day. An average Kenyan scrolls through their Facebook on their phone 10 times a day. So if you're doing something for Facebook, make sure it's mobile friendly. Now that the majority use mobile devices. First question. You put up your hand, you'll get the microphone. Derek, I can see a hand somewhere there. Philip is ready. So you stand, tell us your name, you tell us what you do, and you ask the question. If you are addressing it to any particular person, you mention. Otherwise, it is open for any of them to come in.
I'm Philip Kasaya. Shall I say investment banking on the side, I do fashion. Mine actually is a comment from what Frida and Marvin have said. It's important for someone who's in business, those ones who use the social media platform. Someone has followed a page, let's say like Centonomy or Passion Profits. Then someone goes ahead as in the admin to that account, posting other political comments or selfies like what Frida has said. As in someone should differentiate the platform that they're using to reach out to their clients and what they are getting to comment on other social topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. So you should get a page for business and a page to look for voters if you're looking for any.
My name is Asitati Stephen. I have two questions to ask. One is that from the field where I come from, there's this thing that we need to reconcile between what you do professionally against what your passion is. Majority of the people, maybe those who work 5 to 8 jobs, 8 to 5 jobs, come to get credit to go and do what they value as what their passion is, maybe agriculture or farming, whatever it is. Then there is that difference between how can you reconcile what you like against what your profession is. Because maybe what you are doing, somebody else is doing it for you, maybe up country, maybe it's farming or something like that. And another question, for those people maybe who have 5 to 8 jobs, but they are not, you cannot say they are professionals in their own making. They got the jobs through academic papers. Maybe you have done finance, BA finance. Then you are working maybe in a credit field or marketing for whatever reasons. How do you get your first job? Because there's no way you can start packaging yourself. There's no point you can package yourself for a business that you want to do.
We will take about 3 questions at a go, then we answer them at once, so we take many and answer. So David had a question right here. Any other persons? Let me just see where you are.
Hello. You able to hear me? As I indicated earlier, Masai David is my name. I speak, work, live, anything around strategy. My question is, whether you're in business, whether in enterprise, entrepreneurship, or you're in employment, in your experience, ladies and gentlemen, what are the urban skills that are relevant for this economy?
Okay, do you have another question, or we can have those 3 answered? Mwema?
I went to school those days when the focus was always the white-collar job. And my question is, how do you treat this patient who is still sick of the white-collar job?
Another set of questions.
I would like to talk about the person who asked the question on passion and work. I think that's a debate that has gone on for a long time, but I've done a lot of career consulting, and you know, I read something very interesting, is that you can do things for money and you can do things for fun. People do jobs that give them fun. I imagine are like musicians, footballers, Imagine being paid to play football, a lot of money. Yeah, but there's a saying going out saying that do what you like and you never have to work for another day. But unfortunately, the reality is a lot of us need money. And that person said, if I have to sell what I love, yeah, I might as well be selling my children. Yeah. So they said you can do something for money, and that's perfectly fine, because also it happens that things that pay people a lot of money are not fun to do. Yeah. Yeah. So they actually had a statistic saying that it's only 10% of the people, like those artistic people and who do things that they love and they get paid. So it's perfectly normal, like the kind of job many people have. You don't like it, but it pays the bills. Yeah, you don't like it, but it pays the bills. But then, you see, we don't go to work to be loved or to have fun, as it were. If you want to have fun, have a good family at home, have a great weekend life. When you sign that contract of employment, it states what you shall do. Remember, appreciation is not one of them. You work, you get paid a check. When you want appreciation, they say go home. Yeah, anyway, it's a bit radical, but I don't have enough time to explain. But you can do things perfectly for money. I do a lot of things that I don't like, but end up paying me money. And it's good for me.
Okay, Stanley?
I want to address a bit on the question he was just doing, and then the white collar death. Okay, at Centonomy we teach that if you want to be successful in employment, you must start working from a point of your strengths. So you may have studied finance. You need to understand what strengths do I have that came from the finance sector that I can apply either in this job or in my business. So the first task maybe I'd like to ask you to do is to go and really soul search and find out what are my strengths, because that's what you will gain. For example, my background, my education or my academic background is in law, okay? But I'm not the type of person who goes and goes to the court. The thing or the strength that I gain from my academic background is what I use now to make money, which is talking to people and training, okay? So it is a specific thing that I have learned in my academics that I am now using in any, I can use that in any arena. I can talk about anything, and I am good at that. So look at your strengths and try and work from that perspective. If you want to know how important that is, write your name 5 times with your right hand, and then try again with your left hand, and you see which handwriting is better. It's much easier to improve on your strengths than your weaknesses. On the white collar, I think it's a massive disease that I don't know whether it's in Kenya again globally, but it's a massive disease that we want to all work in air-conditioned offices with ties, and that's what is looked at as the perfect source of money. But in reality, when I get into a matatu or when I go to a hotel, no one ever asks me, "Where, Bana, what kind of job do you have that brought you this money? Did you farm it or did you get it in an air-conditioned office?" And what you'll find is that, and that's what people are finding now, that the blue, whatever we call as blue collar, the ile kazi chafu that we don't like, that's where you actually find a lot of money. So we need to snap ourselves out of our white collars and go and follow where the money actually can be found. A perfect example is, as we were doing research on that topic on the white collar trap, as we call it, we went and visited some ladies. Anyone from Eastlands will know that near City Stadium, there are some people who sell blue wheelbarrows. Have you ever seen them? We went and asked them, on average, what's the turnover of your business? What kind of money is moving through? And the lady we were talking to is just a lady, ameva ile headscarf. You can see that kakabambe that she has, very long skirt. Can you guys picture that lady? And she tells us, every day we do about, she said, okay, every month. Let me tell you about the month. Every month we do about 150. I was like, 150,000 a month on wheelbarrows? That's pretty good. Cindy, she was like, not 150,000, 150 million. Those blue wheelbarrows that you pass by there as you go to your white collar office, the money is there. They have about 5 lorries supplying wheelbarrows as far as Kigali. But if you were to pass that lady, you would think, hey, that lady she doesn't have the latest iPhone. Wealth does not look like anything. It's no color. It doesn't have a white collar or a blue collar or a black collar.
Thank you, Stanley. There's a question that is not answered. Is there? David.
Let me answer your question. What are the urban skills for you to make? I think the first one is intuition. In terms of your ability to identify an opportunity in the midst of chaos. I think that's the first thing. Many times when you see a problem, we run away from the problem. When we see chaos, we want to blame somebody and say that's they're the ones who caused it and they should solve it, not realizing there's actually money to be made in that chaos or in that problem. So that's the first thing, being attracted to problems. The second thing I would say is just basic, not deep, but basic financial management skills. Basic in the sense that know what happens in a finance department, know what to expect in a finance department, so that you're able to have realistic expectations and make smart choices. The third one I would say is leadership skills. This is in terms of managing people. Just trying to identify people's strengths and skills and deploying them in the right places. There's somebody who says, if you want to do everything yourself, there are only two things that you can do because you only have two hands. So that your ability to have a compelling cause that will attract people and identify what the strengths of different people in your team are and deploy them accurately. That's a skill that you need. Lastly, I would say is basic organization. How do you organize yourself? How do you organize the flow of tasks in your business so that you are efficient, effective, and economical? Many of the times, your supplier of the cake who came 3 days after, that's I can bet you pure disorganization. It's not that the cake is bad. It's probably one of the best cakes, but they lacked organization. So that basic organization so that you're able to deliver on your promise and deliver on your brand. I would say those are the skills that you probably would need.
Just to add two skills on what Alvin has shared, communication. Brian Tracy says that 80% of our success is pegged on our communication. If we can learn to communicate better, it's very, very crucial. How we communicate is important. And then the other thing is networking. You can go far alone, but you can go farther with others. The better you are at knowing how to relate with people. And networking is not about getting the deal from other people. It's about cultivating relationships for mutual benefit. So the better you can know how to network and add value to people so that they also add value to you, I think the faster you can go in life. A little bit just to add again on what the other panelists have said about the 8 to 5 thing and the white collar job. I think the key thing for me is starting with defining what you want. I find because of the way we are cultured, the world, the system is always defining for us. You reach standard 8, it will define for you which school you need to go to. You get to Form 4, your grade will define what course you want to take. So you're always kind of waiting for people to define you. I think take the responsibility and define what kind of life do you want. And then start finding out what do you need to live that life. And stop worrying about labels because rich, what is rich? Well, who is, you don't know what's in somebody's bank account. Okay, those people in the AC offices, you don't know how they're struggling in there with debt over their head. So you define what you want and live your life and be happy.
Frida, I want to ask you one more question before Beverly comes in. In terms of entrepreneurship, because one of the things you need to look at, what opportunities exist. So moving forward, 2016 and the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, what are the key sectors that these people should look in and start enterprising in those areas? What are the key sectors that we can start businesses in?
I think if we go about looking at sectors, then again, you're going to define people and lose them. Start very simply. Look at the problems around you. Okay, look at the problems around. It could be something as simple as a professional woman who has a family and can't, juggle going for shopping and getting the house clean and stuff like that. There's no sector for that. Okay, but that woman needs help. Who hates cooking? Maybe she needs some help in the house. So, and don't think house girl or Mama Safi, because again, that space is changing. The way we used to know house girl, if you're a woman and you have children, you know what women went through, always go through in January. Okay, because what happens, the housemates don't come back, so they're not coming back to work. So that place needs to change. I don't know what I would call that sector. So I think the key thing is look at society. What are some things that we are always complaining about? What are some problems that are always recurring? And start thinking, is there a way that I could solve these problems? Are there enough people who would need that solution? I think that's a really basic way to start.
So the point is actually, when you look around us, are there problems?
There are many problems. We are always complaining. Just listen. If you learn to listen, you will hear people always complaining. And if there's enough of them complaining, then can you provide a solution for it? You'll be in the money.
Let me take Beverly, then we get the next set of questions.
Just to answer Masai's question on some of the skills, just to add on what my other panelists have said, one of the key things that has stood out for me is planning. If I check back, like when we started, we were very busy at Kuhasol when we started. Very, very busy, doing a lot of things. I mean, we even used to leave the office at 8. But the outputs were not really, really very clear because we were all doing stuff. But that act of planning, we got to a point where we get to sit together, know what is expected out of next week, plan what is expected. I mean, some long term, others very short time. And when you tie them to what needs to be done, then it becomes easier for you to tick things out of the list. So planning is one of those key skills, either in any job. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Well, even with your personal life, I mean, it helps quite a lot. It's just ticking things off the list. Just plan. Most of the time, maybe it might not work during that time, but just tick them out of the list. That will help you be able to know how far what needs to be done, what has not worked, why has it not worked.
Thank you. The next set of questions, any other person who's ready with a question? The last set of questions, then we take the final comments and bring this to a close. Kevin, I see Kevin is ready. Shama, you can help me pass him this microphone.
Thank you. Okay, today is not the first time I'm hearing about Centonomy. It's been in the public domain, and I just wanted you to bring out a bit more about how somebody can join. Is it a school? What is it? What are the costs involved? And I also had a question for Frida. If you could tell us maybe an organization that approached you with a problem and what you did for them, that would be fantastic, because the name of your company, it strikes me. I'd like to know maybe a real life example of company. This company approached you, they had this particular problem, this is what we did for them, and this is the impact. Thank you.
Yvonne has a question here.
Hi, my name is Yvonne. I wanted to ask, I'm a consultant. Doesn't pay as much. So my problem is I end up not saving as much as I would like to save, because once I save and I have an experience and price point, and I go back to my savings to take some money and then leave back to the The other thing I want to ask is in terms of microfinance, how
I think it's back.
Thank you. So what kind of advice would you give me in terms of getting financial assistance from microfinance institutions? That is my second question. Thank you.
I think I'll try put the first question into perspective if I got her right. She says she gets a job, earns some good money, and then gets into a dry spell, and she had saved during the rainy season, so she has to go back into her reserve account. So how, I got you right, how do you avoid such a situation? And then the second one is micro lenders. How does she enhance herself to be able to get credit from micro lenders?
I think I'll tackle. He asked about what Centonomy is, and I think in the same vein I'll answer you because that's what we do.
Yes, Stanley, you'll try use them.
How to build your career for success. In terms of cost, I think maybe you can see me after. In regards to the issue of how to manage savings, I think as Kenyans we know that saving is great. It's fantastic, and we do it. The question is, we need to start knowing what we are saving for. And then we also need to move beyond savings into investing. Saving is putting your money aside. You can put it in a bank, in a mattress, I've saved. Put it in M-Pesa, I have saved. Investing means that you're putting it somewhere where it will give you a return, such that your return on investment is what is catering for your rainy days, to the extent that we want to put you in a place where you no longer have rainy days. Okay? Your investments are working for you. We want to get you to a point where you actually don't even have to go and work. Or you're working, as he said, for fun. That's basically what we do at Centonomy. Start investing, not just saving. Yeah.
Okay, Alvin, and then I see Marvin is ready as well. Then I can take one more and take the closing. Oh, sure.
When you're talking about consulting, you're actually selling a relationship. You're not really selling a product because it's a service. And relationships take time to build. So by the time you're seeing a huge turnover in whatever you're consulting, you've built credibility over time. So the strategy that I normally tell our clients is basically have two categories of services. Identify whatever it is in your industry that you can bill at a very low price, that your clients can easily pay without, breaking their bank, but approach it from a mass perspective so that it's easy for clients to pay, it's easy for you to deliver, but those small consultancy, that small service can actually take care of your rent, can take care of your transport, can take care of your food. Once you have that service sorted out, then you can begin to now focus on that big consultancy job that you normally do. That will give you a big check and then have a dry spell and then another big check. So build the first tier of service that you cash flow, because cash flow is what you need, and then begin to focus on the core consulting that now makes you profitable.
Marvin and Frida and Karumba last.
I can tell you from a practical experience about the dry spell and then the rainy days, because that's what I've been going through when I started freelancing. But one thing I came to realize is that live according to your limits. There's no way you'll expect that you do a project or a job for 20,000 shillings, and at that particular time you want to pay rent at 15,000 shillings. Then you expect the next 3 months you need to survive. Remember, you'll be surviving on debts, and then when you get another project, rather than saving, you'll be paying debts. When you have understood that you don't have a standard salary per month, then that requires you to be planning longer. So maybe in whatever project you'll be doing, you need to see can it sustain you in the next 3 months, or can it sustain you only for 1 month? The moment you understand that this project can sustain me for 3 months, then budget for it for 3 months, and then make sure you have that saving. Then that doesn't mean that you need to sleep. That now means you need to make that extra coin that will push you the next 3 months after this planning has ended. So if you are a consultant, you need to look for other ways that after I've done this consultation and I've gotten this kind of money, what is this thing I can do next that can generate that extra coin. Remember, when you have extra coin, that is when you'll be able to understand that I can save now to buy the TV, and now maybe I can save to go for a holiday in Mombasa and all that. But the moment you rely on one thing and then you start living on that, then that makes it an issue of saving. So you'll finding yourself that you come work for 60,000, save 30,000, and then you come and withdraw all the 30,000 in bits. So you find that through the withdrawal, the bank has taken almost 2,000 shillings of your withdrawal amount. So just live according to your limit and then plan and find for that other extra coin. And then you'll be good to go.
I think that has been exhausted. My question was, okay, somebody wanted to know what kind of company we have worked with. Just to recap, Passion Profit is a business development support service organization. Our key area of focus is business mentoring and consulting. We work with individuals and organizations. For individuals, you come for a one-day class because we know that if the longer we stay with you, the people in the class have different needs. So you come for a one-day class where you get a roadmap of how to start and grow right, and then we continue mentoring you for a year, where you come at your own pace, at your own time, you book an appointment, and we work with you. That one, we've worked with so many people. We've worked with people who are doing hair, we've worked with fashion designers, we've worked with web developers, we've worked with people in car hire, just simply any kind of organization. And one of the things also we do for the individuals, we have a network called Profit Network. Profit Network is a business mastermind group for business owners. They meet once a week. There's a table topic they discuss, and then they exchange referrals. So that's for the individual. Then for the organizations, we help you to scale up. We have different consultants that we work with. Like I mentioned earlier, Alvin is one of them. We have people in branding. We have people in sales and marketing. We have people in every area of business, and we're continuing to grow that. Now, one of the companies that quickly comes to my mind is a branding company that we worked with. 7 years old. They had about 15 members of staff. By the time we finished with them, they had changed their name. They had a structure. They hired more people. They let go some other people because of the work that we were doing with them. And it started with us working with the owner to help her see how to manage her time. She said that she didn't have enough time to do all the things that she needed to do. So we helped her manage her home, because we got into her home also, but the key thing was her organization. So they didn't have a structure. She was working with her husband. The employees were taking advantage of that. So we had to clearly demarcate. She became the CEO. The husband became the COO, who was going to report to the branding side, who was going to take care of the admin side. At the end of it, we also came up with a staff orientation manual, a consistent and systematic way that they could onboard their clients. And then we did different kinds of training for them. We did customer service training. We mentored the owners, for I think 6 to 12 months. So the different things we can do. We have worked with Google and Microsoft Office to develop entrepreneurship program for them, for their CSR groups. Sometimes they want to mentor women, or they want to help women grow. We've worked with KCB also for their Biashara Business Club. So the way the organization is, our key thing is to help businesses thrive through business development support. I hope I have answered your question.
All right. Just very quickly on consultancy, although I'm new, I've learned one thing is that because most of the time you are alone, once you get a job, the advice that we've been given by Alvin, where you can look for a quick turnaround income or project to keep you going, is important. But also very importantly, what I've seen, like a business I used to manage, is that once you get a job, you're so excited, you do it 100% for the next 5 months. Once you get paid, you start now marketing again. So you should have a framework of tendering. You're doing the job where you submit, even if it's a draft report. Some jobs are in the final stages, and other jobs you are billing, so that you're not you're not doing one thing like billing. All of a sudden you remember you need to market. So that cycle where some jobs are at tendering stage, execution stage, at final report or final stage report and billing needs to happen at all times. And that's what will make sure that your income reflects a monthly or a more frequent earning of income. But otherwise, the thing of having a lot of money and little is the same with employees. A lot of employees, at the end of the month, they are very rich. By 15th, they're eating, as they say, those products of the animals that they used to eat. No. You have heard of that saying that at the start they eat the animals, by 15 they're eating grains and cereals. Yeah. So have that cycle going on, and you'll find your income coming in all the time.
Thank you, Karumba. Who's going to ask the last question? Anne, your hand was up first. So, Sitati, you have the microphone. So I'll allow you to ask your question, then pass to Anne.
I think I'll go back to my first question, which I asked how you would balance between a professional job and a business. Most of us, for those who work for 8 to 5 jobs, would want to have access to credit and open up. I was asking, most of us who are 5 to 8 jobs would want to venture into business, and majority of the times they end up servicing for loans that they got the capital to start up a business which is being managed by someone else, and the business is not successful. So my first question was, how do you balance between your day-to-day job and the business that you're opening, which you are not managing yourself? Because majority of the people normally get credit and open up a business to earn an extra coin. And another question is, which is the right opportune time for you to move maybe from formal employment into business?
All right, the first question is, if you're employed 8 to 5 and you want to stick to your job like you said, Stanley, but you also want to start a business on the side and have somebody else manage it, how do you balance the two to ensure that you're delivering to your boss and your business is also thriving? Let's get Anne's, then we answer the two at once, then we get the closing remarks. We are just having 7 more minutes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Anne, and I'm in the humanitarian field. And my question is similar, but we mentioned earlier that not everyone is an entrepreneur. So my question is, what is the advice you would give to an entrepreneur that you're not looking to start your own business, but you still want to make the extra coin? So how do you do that within your organization, or is it moving to another?
Anybody got the question? Otherwise, I would want her to take it again. Okay. Good.
So I think, to be fair, I'll handle the intrapreneur question, and then anyone else on the panel can handle the entrepreneur question. Yeah. So for the intrapreneur, this is that person who has said, starting a business is not for me, and I want to find out how to make money within my employment. Yeah. And the first thing is to understand that you are not paid by your employer to show up to work on Monday. That's not what you get paid for. You get paid to add value to your company or your organization, whatever they consider impact to be. Okay? Because you said you're in humanitarian, it may not be profit, it may be impact. Okay? So I want you to go and evaluate for your company and the skills that you have. How can I add more value to this organization? And that's how you end up getting paid more than you currently are. And that doesn't mean that because you're in accounts, you can only add value in the accounts department. That's just a place to start. Search yourself and say, do I have skills in marketing? Do I have time? Okay? And then you start putting all these strengths and skills towards how your organization adds value. Okay. One last point, if I may.
5 seconds, very shortly.
Work from your strengths. Find out what your strengths are. Work from your strengths and build a personal brand around your strengths. So that if I want any humanitarian work done, I know that it is you I should be looking for.
Okay. That is Anne's question answered. Alvin, which one?
I'll take the one for how do you balance your professional and your business. For what I gather, your business is what you're passionate about, isn't it? And your profession is what is actually putting food on the table. The first thing I would actually advise is for you to have an exit strategy from your job. And your exit strategy actually has a time frame. So you can say, for example, in the next 3 years, I want to fully resign from my job.
Because the idea of having somebody else run your business will not take off. Your business actually needs you. So that's the first thing. In this next 3 years, determine how much it will cost to start up your business. Begin to start
very
putting.
fast, Alvin. Thank you.
Begin to start putting your money aside in very low risk securities, and he can advise you which low securities are there. A security or an investment that you will not lose your principal. Then identify what your working capital is, because once you quit your job, you'll need to eat, you need to pay your rent. If you have children, they need to go to school. Set aside at least, my advice is 1 year of that money aside. Because by the time you start your business, like any other new business, there'll be ups and downs, and you need to factor for those ups and downs. So I think in summary, that's what
Thank you,
you should
Alvin.
do.
Thank you. Frida, you had something? Okay. In that case, then, ladies and gentlemen, we just brought this to a close. I want to allow each of them to make a closing remark, but just to tell you, visit Frida's desk at the back when we are done. Get a flyer and get to register with. She has a form there. You can leave your contacts and appreciate the work she's done here. And I'm going to give out this book. This book is written by Alvin, and it's a very interesting book, Financial Success for Entrepreneurs, Financial Literacy, a product of Ari Capital. I want to give this book to one person. One person, after the panelists have made the closing remarks. I'll give this book to one person, and I'll tell you what you need to tell me for you to get to go home with this book. I can see Frida has some DVDs. I hope they'll be at the table for sale. They are here for sale. How much is one? 1,000 bob per DVD, and Alvin's book is also 1,000 bob. So starting from Marvin, strictly 30 seconds for your closing remarks, please.
One thing I would just like to tell you is that just understand your passion and make sure that your passion matches your skills, and you'll be good to go. Thank you.
Frida?
You don't have to walk alone. Passion Profit can help you turn your passion into profit. If you need a free one-on-one session, you can visit my office at Delta Corner. Just make sure you call and book an appointment, and you can see me and I can answer your questions.
Kevin?
Thank you.
As I mentioned, 2016 is a good year for investments. I think we can take advantage of low rates for quite a number of segments. If you ever need further advice, there are a lot of agents within our department, the wealth management team. That's at PwC Towers, 4th floor. We'll be more than glad to open.
Alvin?
Anything that is worth doing, it's worth failing at. So be courageous, start now, and don't procrastinate.
Stanley?
Our people perish for lack of knowledge. Educate yourself on money. And that's what exactly that Centonomy does. I'd like to see Anne after class.
Beverly?
Not perfection, it's progress. If you want to get something done for you, post it on Kuhasol. If you want to get a side hustle or something to do for yourself, visit the platform. If you have a challenge, chat with us, someone will help you.
Thank you, Beverly. Karumba?
In my 30 seconds, this is what I'll say. Each thing will take 10 seconds. First of all, be careful on debt. The people I've seen become very rich and very poor is because of debt, especially women, because every fund that's being established is to lend women money and young people before you take your next big loan on your idea, because a lot of times you don't need the money. Speak to Pine Hill Consulting. Number 2, share your idea. Some people die with the ideas thinking they will be stolen. A lot of ideas you might have are worthless, but as you share with other people, they become sharpened. After all, it's very rare for people to have original new ideas. So don't die with it, and when you're 90, you say, I wish I had started a matatu business. Yeah, the last thing is what I said. There is power in starting.
Thank you, Karumba. And now, for you to go home with this book, just tell me, on Frida's checklist, give me 3 items. First, hand up. Yvonne. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead, Yvonne.
Okay, the first one is trust in God.
have a business model and let me participate in your network.
All right, thank you very much, Yvonne. You get to go home with this book, courtesy of Ari Capital. I'll have Alvin sign it for you, and then you can pick it once we are done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up. We do it again in another 4 weeks, every third Sunday. We are here with a different item. My panelists, even if you're not invited to be on the panel, you can always come and join the audience, and we'll give you 1 or 2 questions to deal with. Thank you very much. Catch us on Facebook, The Heart Out Show. Catch us on Twitter at The Heart Out Show. Send us an email, heartout.stmarks@gmail.com, info@heartoutshow.co.ke, sakwa@heartoutshow.co.ke. See us here. Our mobile numbers, you'll get them after this because the tents are flooding. I want to invite Anne to give us the closing prayer, and then you can interact with the panelists. Remember, these books are at the back, 1,000. Frida's DVDs are at the back, 1,000 shillings. Thank you very much. We will stand as we invite Anne to pray. You can pray from where?
To us. You thank you because of the knowledge that you have bestowed on us this afternoon, and we don't take it for granted. We want to thank you even for everyone who has organized this panel, for the work that it has taken, my Father, under the scenes. We want to thank you for the dedication of the team, and even for the panelists, for the wisdom they have bestowed. We don't want to take it for granted, and we also want to say thank you. And even for all the people who have attended, my Father, may you just bless them. And even as we disperse to a different destinations, my Father, we pray for Johnny Mercies. And we also pray for the next show that it may be just as successful. We give you all the glory and we give you all the honor. And even as we prepare for the next meeting, we pray that Jehovah, Lord, you may go before us. We give you thanks and praise in the mighty name of Jesus. We have prayed and believed. May the grace
of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you.